Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear viewers of IQRA TV and friends of IQRA TV. Welcome back to another program of Real Talk. You join me today on this very interesting day when we've had some huge eruptions in our community following comments made by Boris Johnson about Muslim women who wear the niqab. I'm sure all of you will have seen the publicity surrounding that particular issue. He made those comments yesterday. He's been asked by the Prime Minister and members of his party to not just retract but to apologize for the comments that he's made. These comments are not just derogatory, as some Muslim women have said today on the radio, and I've listened to them. They actually put the fear in Muslim women who go out, who wear the niqab, because it invites the invitation for those who are anti-Muslim to try and target Muslim women towards a hate crime. And there's a fear that is now developing that he's given succor to the people on the right and given them empowerment to act in a way that does not be of benefit to the Muslim community. So today I want to discuss this particular issue. It's an issue that affects hundreds of women, thousands of women in this country, women who very proudly wear the niqab, who feel that they are expressing their freedom to practice their religion in the way that they see the religion dictates to them. Now, whether you believe in wearing the niqab or not, the fundamental point here is the right of a woman to decide herself, the self-determination of the woman herself to decide whether she wants to wear the niqab. So to discuss this issue, which is, as I say, has been on the news throughout the day, and it's become major publicity event for this country, and it's also been reported in other parts of the world of the impact of this particular comments by Boris Johnson, who is our former Foreign Secretary, a senior member of the Conservative Party, and has been seen in the past as potential leadership material, and still seen by himself and others as potential leadership material for the Conservative Party. So we want to talk about how his comments have impacted on the Muslim community for people who are proud of being Muslims, particularly women who wear the niqab, women and families who now find themselves possibly at the mercy of some of these people who use these opportunities that these comments like these present to themselves to try and target Muslims. And the rise of Islamophobia, as we know, in this country has been exponentially growing over the last few years. So discuss this with me. I have with me, and I'm very glad to have and very honored to have with me, one of the youngest Muslim councillors in this country, and also the winner of the Young Councillor of the Year Award, a national award, Fawzia Shaheen, who is also the Deputy Executive for the Portfolio for Education. Fawzia is a councillor on Bradford Council, and to me, I'm absolutely honoured that here we have a young, articulate Muslim woman who sees her role as trying to be a part of the society where she wants to put something back into society that she grew up in. Fawzia Shaheen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Real Talk. I think you've been on one of these programs before, and so you're not a stranger. I'm really impressed with your CV. It's the first time I've met you, and I've talked to you a little while before the program started, and from what she tells me, she has been a councillor for 4 years, and she's been awarded the youngest councillor award, national award, recently, last year. So here we have somebody who is knowledgeable, articulate, politically on the right tracks, and able to articulate the views of women and people, other minorities, in her role as a councillor. Sitting alongside her is a man many of you have seen before, a man, as I've said before, for whom I have a huge deal of respect. I have looked up to him over many, many years as one of the leading lights of Muslim empowerment in this country. Ishtiaq Ahmed, who represents the Bradford Council of Mosque and also works from the Khidmat Centre here in Bradford. Both of you, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Real Talk. Let me start with you, Fawzia. As a Muslim woman, these comments that Boris Johnson has made, which are provocative, insensitive, it maybe incites hatred towards Muslims, is pandering to the extreme right, both within his party and outside. and have been described as very offensive by many, many people, even non-Muslims as well. As a Muslim, how do you feel when somebody makes comments like these? You know, does that put the fear in you as a Muslim, young Muslim living in this country?
Firstly, thank you very much for giving me an invite to actually be part of such an important issue and a topic that has actually affected so many members of the community, not only local but nationally as well. I just feel so saddened and upset to actually see someone is senior in a party that has a lot of responsibility and is there to deliver for the community and for us people, to actually make such a selfish, self-centered comment as such. I don't personally wear a niqab or a hijab myself. I am a young Muslim woman born and bred in the UK. Bradford is my hometown. But that does not make me any different to anyone else. I have a choice. Every woman out there, whatever she wears, has a choice. As a Muslim, I just feel a comment like that just makes other Muslims actually scared. It's building hate crime within our communities. It's actually putting us and pushing us to one side. Instead of being inclusive, we're actually being separated by comments made by such people like Boris Johnson.
So is he driving a wedge between communities?
He absolutely is. It's not bringing communities together. It's actually separating communities. It's very clear in what he's actually said. I can't even think to say what is he trying to do, what's his intention, but it's very clear he's only causing fear within the Muslim community. He's causing hatred within our communities, which is such a shame that someone like him with a position, and he does have power, absolutely, he has got power, but to say something like that does not make anything better within our communities. And as a Muslim community, we rally where we can. We need to be proud of who we are, and by all means, I'm here to advocate for women, and I'm a strong believer, and wherever I can represent women, I absolutely would represent women.
His comments are that this is an issue of freedom, and that Muslim women who wear the niqab in particular are oppressed. You know, they're subjugated. Now, I mean, from your experience of women that you come across who wear the niqab, do you get that impression that, you know, these women do not have the right to say no, the inference being that they're being forced to wear the niqab? So, I mean, is that the impression you've got from the people that you've come across who wear the niqab?
I totally disagree with his comments, absolutely disagree with that comment. Women that choose to wear the hijab and the niqab, I have friends that wear the niqab, they choose to wear that, they've got a choice, nobody forces them. If they don't want to wear it, they don't have to wear it. I'm a living example. I am not wearing the niqab and not wearing the hijab. It doesn't make me any different, and I just feel I totally disagree to his comment, and it's not a true reflection, absolutely not a true reflection.
Okay. Ishtiaq, obviously you've been very active in the past around Muslim empowerment, but more important than that is around interfaith work, bringing faith communities together, not just Muslim communities together, but other faith communities together as well. And that work, in your case, you know, obviously in Bradford, is seen as one of the leading lights in the UK, some of the work that you've done around faith communities working together. How do you think these comments will impact on the interfaith work that you do? I mean, first of all, do you agree that his comments are insensitive, provocative, maybe inciting, you know, hatred against Muslims? You know, they're pandering to the extreme right. Do you agree with some of those comments which are coming out from many, many people, including members of his own party as well?
Let me start by saying that, am I surprised but what Boris Johnson has said? I'm not surprised.
Right.
I'm saddened that someone of his standing within the Conservative Party, former Foreign Secretary, someone who was very influential political figure, for him to come up with what I call very badly constructed comments, which are, I think, insulting, they are derogatory, and they are demeaning of Muslim women. And that is what our objection is. He has gone on to say that he wants to encourage debate.
Yes.
We want to have a civilized debate. I don't think that any Muslim, man or women, in British society wants to say no to having a civilized debate around any given issue, and particularly this issue. But to encourage that civilized debate, you do not have to actually describe people as robbers, as letterboxes, and using other kind of insulting and demeaning language. And the fact, my worry is that the fact that he has felt a need to do that, believing that he can get away with it, believing that there will be support both within his own party and society for the kind of tone and the negative language that he used. That itself is very worrying.
This is where he's pandering to people
Absolutely.
who are very anti-Muslim by nature
no,
anyway.
In this society, we know, and every evidence that seems to come our way suggests that Muslims are targeted for crimes of hatred, and hatred against Muslims is on the increase. But within the Muslim community, women particularly are target for racist, extremist elements in the society. And all he is doing is, by using the kind of the language and the tone that he's adopted, he is actually pandering to those racist elements. He is empowering them, he is encouraging them, and he is saying to them, you are quite okay to insult, to demean, to attack, to target Muslim community and particularly Muslim.
You see, he's also, I mean, his justification is he doesn't agree with the ban around the burqa, because what Denmark banned it, and he's saying, you know, I don't agree with the banning of the burqa itself. But he says, then he goes on to talk about women are oppressed, you know, women are, you know, dressed like bank robbers, that, you know, they're like post boxes. And we got an image, you know, that I saw an image today which is going around on social media of a man trying to post a letter not next to a letterbox, instead of posting in the letterbox. I know we'll try and show it later on. There's a woman sat there and he's trying to post it in between the niqab in her face. So I mean, this is obviously inciting disrespect and hatred towards young Muslims or even older Muslim women. I mean, he's been asked to make an apology. The Prime Minister very clearly came. I've been told the image is ready, so we'll put it up on the screen. I don't know whether you've seen this image or not, but you'll be able to see that, where there's the man trying to post a letter. Instead of posting it into the post box, he's actually pretending as if he's putting it in between the eyes, the visible part of the women, the sister who's wearing the niqab. But the Prime Minister has asked, you know, for him to make an apology. Lord Sheikh has asked for him to make an apology. Sayyid Awasi has been even stronger than that in saying that he should be disciplined. Lord Sheikh has said that as well. But I'm not sure whether you've seen the response by Lord Bourne, who is currently the chair of the Anti-Muslim Hate Crime Advisory Group, of which I was a member until very recently. He has also come out and said that these comments are derogatory, they're not very helpful, they're insulting, and you know, these comments will not go towards building good relationships between communities. Now, in your work as a counsellor, I mean, how do you see comments of these nature, you know, the ones that he's made, having an impact on the day-to-day lives of people who live in Bradford, particularly women, you know, who wear the niqab?
I think it is really worrying for the women that do wear the niqab. It clearly is a message or some comments that are absolutely incorrect. It's not a true reflection on these women, and it is actually building hate in the women as well. They do feel scared. I've spoke to actually some women today that wear the niqab, and they are actually feeling scared. So they are feeling they could be targeted at any time. They could be made a victim of abuse or hate crime. And we don't, as working as a counsellor in Bradford Council, we do not tolerate any form of racism, any form of discrimination whatsoever, regardless to it being hate crime or any crime. It shouldn't be done or accepted anywhere across the globe, not just Bradford. And I do feel for these women, because they have a choice. They're making use of their choices. They're making use of what they want to do, and why should they be stopped? Why should they be questioned?
But this is the argument he's making, that he is following, I mean, probably Louis Casey's example from the past, you know, that Muslim women generally are oppressed. They don't have a mind of their own. They don't have the wherewithal to make their own decisions, that these decisions are forced upon them. Now, you're a young Muslim woman, as you said, you're born in this country, you went to school, you went to college, you went to university, you got a degree, you know. I mean, how do we break that mentality that people like Boris Johnson have? They've got this mindset that Muslim women are oppressed completely. I mean, you know, we understand that women in other societies are also second-class citizens. There's no doubt about that. You know, it's historical, it's cultural. Even in this country, until 100 years ago, Muslim women were seen as not even worthy to vote. You know, it was only 100 years ago that they got the vote. You know, 150 years ago, they were not even allowed to have property. Whereas Muslim women, Muslim women, right from the days of the Prophet ﷺ, had the right to have property. So, you know, how do you break that mold?
I think we need to actually make a separation between debate and discussion, open debate and discussions around equality and position and status of women, not only within the Muslim community, but in the society generally. And I would be the first person to put my hand up and say, yes, we need to have that debate. Yeah? That is not an issue. The issue is that can someone of Boris Johnson's standing actually stand up and assume his right to insult and denigrate a community or a section of the community, feeling that he can get away with it and believing that there would be a lot of people within society where he would be supported. Yeah. My view has always been that right to debate, right to proper questions around anything, burqa, hijab, whatever it is, we need to have something. But no one has a right to insult and demean a section of the community or their way of life. And that is my issue with Boris Johnson. And I'm very pleased.
I totally agree with you.
I'm very pleased that the Prime Minister has come out and said that his comments are perceived as offensive. And I would be more strong and say they are offensive.
They definitely are.
They are offensive.
And I think one of our sisters has reported him to the police.
Yeah, Baroness Varsi has come out very strongly, and also a number of other prominent figures. You mentioned some of those who have also come out saying like that he is totally out of order. He needs to apologize. If he fails to apologize, the parliamentary party in the first instance and the Conservative Party needs to hold him accountable.
Well, I mean, there are members in the Conservative Party now, like Nadine Dorries, who has actually said he didn't even go far enough. I mean, she's made a comment in somewhere today saying that he should actually go further and say the niqab should be completely banned. And you know, he was gutless in that sense. So
Iqbal, only few months ago, Muslim Council of Britain, was actually criticized when they said that within the Conservative Party there is a major issue of Islamophobia,
well, there's no
and the Conservative Party needs to look at itself in terms of Islamophobia and take action to eliminate it. If the Conservative Party fails to take a firm action against Boris Johnson, that perception or view of Conservative Party as being Islamophobic will be confirmed. So I think it's important. It's important
I
that
agree.
that happens.
I think that is a very important point you make, and I was going to come to that later on, because as a Muslim community, you know, how should we respond to political parties where not the majority, but a substantial part of that party is Islamophobic. I mean, there's other people who made comments, very negative, derogatory comments about the Muslim community and Islam. And it seems, and I agree with you, that the Muslim Council of Britain has asked the Conservative Party to take another look at itself. And Baroness Wasi made these comments some years ago about, the Islamophobia passing the dinner table test. I mean, I had a call today from one of my colleagues from the Ismaili community, and he was saying that if the Muslims don't wake up now, when these sort of attacks are being made on the Muslim community, we'll never wake up, and we need to take some affirmative action ourselves. But I'll come to that in a minute. I mean, do you think that there are members of the Tory party who come out in support of Boris Johnson? He's away abroad at this moment in time, who has said that he's got no intention of apologising, and he says he feels that he's not said anything wrong, that there's nothing controversial about what he said. If the Conservative Party does not take any action against these extremely damaging, derogatory, insulting, demeaning comments, as you say, what should happen?
Well, I think there are a number of things. One is just that I think is important. The responsibility of cleansing its house, the responsibility has to be with the Conservative Party.
Mm-hmm.
It also has to be with the Parliamentary Party, Conservative. And one hopes that the Prime Minister will go a step further, not only condemning or regarding his comments as offensive, but actually the Parliamentary Party needs to hold him accountable at the Conservative Party. If he doesn't, then the perception of Conservative Party as Islamophobic and pandering to racist elements within its rank and file, that perception or that will be hardened and confirmed.
I must say to our viewers, today we tried to get a Conservative representative.
Okay. Now let me balance that. The Jewish community has issues with the Labour Party.
Yes.
In terms of anti-Semitism. Okay. Now we are talking about political structures without being party political in that sense. Political structures, Labour Party, Liberals, Liberal Democrats, Conservatives. We are saying to all political parties that in today's Britain, which is multiracial, multi-faith, multicultural, it's a global village in many ways. Yeah, global is a day. Political structures, which are representative political structures of the very communities, cannot afford to turn a blind eye to racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, or any other form of inequality. So we look to the political parties, and in this instance, it's the Conservative Party, because Boris Johnson is a Conservative member of Parliament. We look to the Conservative Party and saying, you need to actually lead by example, show leadership on it. You are the party of the government. We have to look at you. Something. So it's not being party political. It's actually having expectations of a party that is in government.
Yeah, and I think our local MP, one of our local MPs, Naz Shah, has written to the chairman of the Conservative Party yesterday. She was hoping to be here, but unfortunately, because she's on call today to respond to this particular issue, and she's made comments to other media organizations today, she has asked for him to withdraw his comments, apologize, in her capacity as a Labour Shadow Equalities Minister, that she's written to the chairman of the Conservative Party, saying that these comments, all the things that we've said, that derogatory, demeaning, insulting, incitement to hatred, etc. And it'd be interesting to see what response she gets from the chair of the Conservative Party. My fear is, I mean, and we'll be going to a break very soon. You said this before today. Boris Johnson is a law unto himself, as lots of people know about that. He sometimes will make comments deliberately to try and see what the feedback is and what the throwback is on that. Has he done this to further his own career and use the Muslim community, as a football, to try and make sure that he's been out of the limelight since he resigned as the Foreign Secretary?
Every political animal does things to further his or her career, and Boris Johnson is more maverick, and maybe Boris said that this is a very clever politics, on his part. I think it's a very mischievous and very dangerous politics on his behalf if he wants to further his political career in that particular way. Yeah, we know what's happening within the Conservative Party, and we know the issues around Theresa May, the Prime Minister, and the whole talk of new leadership and that kind of thing. Something, but that should not be at the expense of Muslim community.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's using the Muslim community as football. We're going to go to break, brothers and sisters and friends of IQRA TV. I hope that you found so far the discussion, the debate with both Fawzia and Ishtiaq of interest and of some value. We'd like to hear your views back. We'll come back to this maybe next week, because this issue is not going to go away very soon. But don't go away. Make yourself a cup of tea or coffee, whatever it is. Come back and join us. We'll be back in a few minutes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.